Hey guys, it's me again, John at Cliffside Armory. I'm really hoping that this camera angle works out and you guys are going to be able to see this and hopefully hear me clearly. Today I'm going to be raising a pig face visor, and the big question people are asking me right now is how do I form the ocularium or the oculars, or I don't speak Latin, whatever the hell you guys call them. For those of you who aren't familiar, it would be this section on the visors, this sort of blocked out, almost guard for where your visor slit's going to go. They're super, super iconic in the 14th century, and a lot of guys, I think, either get them wrong or they're just scared of doing them. So hopefully I can at least show you on paper some of the theory behind forming them, or at least how I do it. Here we go. So I'm going to start with a welded cone, which probably going to look something like that. From here, what I'm going to start to do is crush this down to get a much smaller, sleeker nose. The trick here is, if you're already aware of where your ocularium, or if you're aware where the eyes are, all you really have to do is take that into account, and they sort of form themselves, and they're going to form themselves in a very period manner too, which is the best part. I know that the living history guys are going to get really upset about this when I say that I think sometimes the ocularium looked like this because it was just easiest for the armorers. Hopefully I can explain that a little later so that, you know, like the HEMA guys and shit don't, like, you know, snap their crayons. So we're going to take this section and crush it down. So eventually we're going to end up with something that looks like this. And it's going to be, obviously that's really rough, but you get the idea. If you think about it, this is bigger than the final form. So eventually your oculars are going to be doing something like that. So you're pushing all this down. So as you push the nose out, if you don't continue this, let me try to explain that. Sometimes what guys will do is, like, for whatever reason, when we see silversmiths and stuff raising, they complete every pass, and guys fall into this weird phase where they feel like if there's a wave still in the metal, they have to take it out. The nice part is when you're doing stuff like this, that wave is what's going to become your ocular. So guys will take this and they crush it down to this, and then they sort of back raise out the oculars and everything like that. And I don't know. If it works for you, it works for you. But at least for me, I'm going to start crushing this in, and when I get to that wave, eventually you're going to reach a point where this is sort of, this area is kind of in its final shape, and you're going to kind of end up with this really sort of dramatic wave leading out into your nose, and this wave down here leading into here. Now, all you really have to do, hopefully we can see this, now all you really have to do is start tinkering with this, you know, kind of flatten it out. But that step up is that. This was initially one surface. As I crushed it down, we sort of hit this breakwater, and this was just an ugly wave. But you know, you kind of crisp up that wave, and now you've established the bottom edge for your oculars. A lot of times when you look at the originals, if you look at the originals and you know, if you took an original pig face and sort of drew a cone over it, you'd quickly realize that if you crush the nose to that dimension, the angle of the ocular is just going to happen the way it is. So personally, I think a lot of times these look the way they did because it was just the easiest thing for them to do, or at least it made the most sense if that, you know, if they were looking for something to catch a sword. So we're going to crush this down and get to this stage. I'm kind of going to move over. I'm not even really sure where I am on this video. I'm sure at the end of this whole thing I'll find out that I'm not even on the camera. So now we sort of have our ugly blob the awesome sort of nose and an ugly blob down here. These are now already sort of your established oculars. So now we almost skip up and over the wave, and as long as we're very aware of where the oculars are going to end up, you just start crushing it down up here and letting it sort of happen. Same thing with here. I'll sort of see the wave, and a lot of the pig faces too on the bottom. They're a little bit more rounded. I think it's just because sometimes you don't have the room to work down there. I mean, you can crisp them up, but you kind of get to this wave, and you do the same thing. Where as long as I sort of know where that funny little smiley face is going to be, I can skip down and crush it in here and bring that smiley face out. So it's not really scary to raise the oculars. I mean, as long as you're very, very aware of where they're going to be, which is why I mark things up constantly with lines and I'm always measuring. But from the second that this thing was a flat piece of steel, I had measured out and I knew exactly where my oculars were going to be. So as soon as you know where they're going to be, take it into account and keep it into account. This is kind of an example for a pig face, but since I have this, and it's a little sort of easier to imagine, there's pictures too, you can sort of see this as a play-by-play, but when this piece started, it basically looked like that. However, I knew exactly where I wanted the nose to go, and exactly where I wanted my oculars to go. So when I crushed this section, I never completed the wave. So I never brought this whole thing down. That would be stupid. So I took it, and then suddenly there's this ugly bulge because this wave of metal is being pushed and has to go somewhere. So you end up with this sort of ugly blob up here. Well, the bottom of that ugly blob, the bottom of that wave, is the bottom of your oculars. So now you just skip over to here and almost push it down this way, and really the only part of the ocular that you're raising out, at least the way I do it, is this top part. This bottom edge that everyone's kind of really scared of is going to happen. It's the wave of the raising. Another really quick thing, I'm going to rage against sort of Skady and bassinets for a minute, and when they do visors. When you look at a lot of period visors, the bottom edge of the oculars sort of follows the curve of like the muzzle. So a lot of times you'll see guys do, I messed up my marker. A lot of times you'll see, this is an extremely shitty drawing of a flat visor. But a lot of times, you know, here's your sort of muzzle, is guys just do these like block square oculars right there. A lot of them don't do that. I'm absolutely certain someone somewhere is going to find one picture of an ocular that looks like that, and they're going to call it definitive, and you know, whatever. But I think the vast majority, this is very subtle. It's very cool. It's got a lot of line to it, and I like it. It's got a lot of life to it. But guys see a straight box, and they think, oh, well, that must be easier. To me, it's not actually, because if I'm raising it in this hemispherical sort of pattern, that wave is going to be in a hemispherical pattern. So when I start to cut the wave to make this ocular, I'm going to sort of naturally get that curved bottom to my ocular that I think looks far more sophisticated and sleek than just sort of these weird square ones that guys do. There's a lot more to these than that, but this is sort of the simple basics. Hopefully when I start raising, I can take some photos and explain it a little bit better. You know, pictures are worth 1,000 words. They're probably worth 10,000 of my words. I hope that gives you some idea of what's going on. I mean, if not, I'm going to post this video. Just ask. I'll do my best to answer. All right, guys. See you in a bit.